All right, welcome everyone. This is the Metstrade panel discussion about Teak and Teak alternatives. I'm Aaron Porter, editor of Professional Boat Builder magazine. Before we get underway, I want to thank our hosts here at Metstrade for persistently offering a great venue, not just for commerce and business advancement, but also for education in our industry. It's really important in our very decentralized sector to share the technical and professional challenges and the information in these rare opportunities where we all end up under one roof. So we're grateful to have this space at this time. At Professional Boat Builder, we tend to err on the obsessive side when it comes to materials. And while we usually devote our time here to emerging composites, and yesterday I guess we did 3D printing. Today we're going to be looking really on one of the oldest boat building materials at Teak, though it's sadly facing some very 21st century challenges, which prompt us to look for alternatives. While old growth teak is sourced, sort of even by name from Burma and now Myanmar, it remains really a superlative and a stable, rot-resistant boat-building material for many structural and dimensional applications. By far, the greatest volume of that wood is still used for teak decks, and that's once you've walked on or cared for a teak deck, you understand why the wood's become that standard. It's even grained, it's naturally skid resistant, it's pleasing to the touch, and if you don't overthink it and overdo it, it's pretty easy to maintain. But as decks have evolved away from laid planks cut with caulk seams and mechanically fastened to deck structures, the wood surface is now kind of a comparatively thin layer, adhesively bonded to full structural deck of a composite or metal or even plywood underlayment. It's a challenge that invites the substitution of new material or of more efficient application of teak. And it's come at a time when political instability in Myanmar has further throttled the supply of old-growth timber. So what new options does a boat builder facing these challenges have? To help us navigate the numerous emerging alternatives, we're joined by a panel of experienced teak suppliers and consumers in the marine sector, all of whom also are exploring and developing alternative materials out of necessity and out of interest. Richard Strauss, my immediate left, is president of Teakdecking Systems, a supplier of teak deck solutions to production and custom builders of all sizes in Europe and North America. Next to the left is Xavier Ardevol, owner of TMT, Spanish supplier of a thermotreated hardwood. It's an alternative to teak. He also has a history in sourcing teak and is painfully familiar with the challenges in teak supply, and will share some of the other alternatives that he's been looking at. And then originally we, as you may have seen on the program, we're scheduled to have Marnix Hoekstra from naval architecture firm Vreepak. Unfortunately, he had to respond to a call from a client who pays far better than I do. So thankfully, Jörg Bubelarch, manager of Mega-yacht department at WolzNautic, has graciously agreed to step into the breach and share his company's efforts to come up with some workable alternatives to old-growth teak, especially for large vessels. I'll start with you, Richard. You've been sourcing teak in Myanmar for years, but I know have also been searching in at least the last 5 or so for some really good usable alternatives to meet technical and consumer demands. If you'd give us some of that background in the legacy old growth teak market and then your experience developing alternatives, that would be give us a great jumping off point.
Run through this? Okay. Yeah, so Teakdecking Systems, we're an employee-owned company. We've been in the business for 40 years. And yet, you're right, we've been sourcing alternatives to the Burmese teak. We've been looking at it for probably 10, 15 years. We've been testing plantation teaks for, like I say, 15 years, and we wanted to really see if we could break that myth of the 100-year-old, 80-year-old, 100-year-old teak being the viable yachting deck solution. So in the decking market, the availability right now is, of course, Burmese teak that's already been sourced legally, that we would have in inventory. Then any of the FSC certified plantation teaks. We got cork, which is kind of making a resurgence due to its carbon negative impacts. And then we have the thermally modified and engineered woods. And then, of course, composite. And there's a whole plethora of composites, the EVA foams, the PVCs like Flexi Teak, and then polyurethanes like Herculon and S-Tech and Bolete. So we did a little thing at Teakdecking. We have been sourcing plantation teak, and we wanted to kind of do a test with our own carpenters that have been with us for 25, 30 years. So we built identical panels out of teak from Myanmar, Tanzania, Panama, Bolivia. We have a control panel out of Burmese teak. And, we didn't indicate which teak was which and put them out for our carpenters to select which one was the Burmese teak, and they all thought this would be easy. And really, they struggled with it. So it kind of proves that if you carefully select your teak, as Jörg would know, you can get good quality teak that's going to be satisfactory, I think, to the end consumer. Along with that, another option out there is green teak from Thailand, and essentially what they're doing is they're taking plantation-grown teak, looking for 35-year-old trees or a little bit older. They like the perfectly round ones, and they felled those, and they're essentially slicing that log and then re-laminating it together, the veneers of the log together, and creating what they call green teak. So it's a laminated teak, so they're not worried about the growth rings because they're inverting those veneers and gluing it together. So we did a test sample for a client that's building a 100-meter who's considering that. And so we built up a panel for him. He mounted it to the bow of his boat and ran around for a year and had his crew absolutely abuse the panel. Mounted it to the swim platform for 3 months, so it was in the wash. And very happy with it. So, he's washed it with 2-part acids and everything that you shouldn't do for teak. And after a year's time, he felt like he had about 3 years' worth of abuse done to it, and it did really well. So anyways, it's a great option. And, of course, in India, going to be a little bit careful there, but we're sending our team to India to go to the log depots, to the forest, to the plantations, just making sure. And so in this, we're looking at FLEGIT and FSC certifications for any of the Indian teak or the Indonesian teak. Anything that we're buying now has got to be FSC certified. Incidentally, the other thing that we're doing now is there's a lot of sawmills and wood traders that are FSC certified. We're having our factory and our warehouse FSC certified, meaning that we're going to have to manage our inventory carefully so it doesn't get mixed up with Burmese teak and things like that. So it's a whole certification process, and then we go through random audits and things like that. We're doing that so our customers have, peace of mind that, what we're putting on their boat is the FSC certified teak, plantation teak. So we've been in Costa Rica, plantations, and again, we send our team there, and the whole key to that is just really, inspecting it and just making sure that what you're purchasing is going to be quality and it's going to meet your customers' expectations and our standards. Another thing that we're doing, and it's kind of above and beyond, is, and I'm hearing more and more about it at this trade show, is just to give our customers assurances. We're DNA testing our loads coming in. So we have FSC certified teak. We've got chain of custody to prove that. But we're also taking another step where we're either doing isotope testing or DNA testing. So when a load comes in, we're taking random pieces out, having it DNA tested, that DNA testing gets stored with the people that do DNA testing. So at any point in time from now until forever, that information can be obtained and traced back to where that teak, where the tree was felled. And again, it's just proving the legality of it. So we're going through that whole process now on every load that's coming in as well. Of course, then sliding out from the traditional teaks outside of the Burmese teak, cork, again, as I said, making a resurgence. And then a good friend Javier is going to talk a little bit about the engineered and modified woods. So there's quite a few options out there on that. And aside from that, then we go into the composites, and we tend to favor the polyurethanes. We've been partnered with Estech now for about 10 years, and they provide a good solution. And we also partner with Herculon. And Herculon, we get the poured product, and we can make panels at any thickness. So if we're pulling off a 20-millimeter teak deck, we can put a 20-millimeter composite deck back on, so the hardware works, the scuppers work, and everything else. So those are kind of the options out there, and if you need to have more information when we're all said and done, we're at stand 11-22-3.
Great. Thanks, Richard.
Yeah.
Actually, before we go on, looking at the certification and the isotope and DNA testing, is that something that you're hearing directly from builders and end user customers demanding and requesting?
Haven't heard so much from end users yet, but it's coming. But definitely some builders have been talking about it, and some owners reps, yacht management companies. You know, they're starting to request that. So
great, thank you. Xavier, tell us about, I guess, some of the challenges that you're encountering trying to find alternative woods and modified wood alternatives for decking, and also for more dimensional and structural applications. I know some we can do at greater thicknesses, and others need to just remain as a thinner layer. So if you could speak to some of that, and I know you've got experience with sourcing teak before you were looking at alternatives as well. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks for the invitation. I hope that my English is going to be affordable for that one. It's not too bad. We come from the teak world for 30 years. Then, and also personally, I was studying boat building. Then. More or less our way of view of the market, it's from the forest to the final project. We don't try to sell bundles of lumber, because here in the marine business, it's a very picky market, than not the normal bundles that are used to be sold in the sawmills are usable for our market. Then in 2015, we decided to stop with the teak and to put our brain in new technologies and new things. On that, we arrived to the point that nevermore it's going to be only one option for a decking. Teak was a superb material and needs to be beaten by the another ones, but also can be another things like even anti-slip deck paint. Then we was taking all the alternatives. Obviously, we come from the world of the wood, of the lumber, and wood offers this exclusivity, warmth, and beauty. Then you will never see anyone touching and smelling a piece of glass. And the wood do that things. And especially, depend of the level of the yacht construction, this exclusivity, we only think it comes from the wood. Obviously, other people will think differently, and I respect it. No? Then, on all that points, we was trying to arrive to a final decision, and that's not easy. Then, after these years, 30 years importing teak, first of all, we was trying to look for the origin country with risk zero of wrong harvestings and all that things. we think that it's so important that our resource is good, then at the end, the companies that are applying, we don't have to be fighting each time for the right papers for this. No? Then we was in need to get suitable density. Then if it's too soft, it's not useful. If it's too hard, it's too heavy. The sailing boats will not like it. The other ones will not like the other ones. Then it starts to reduce things. Yeah. Then we was looking for durability. Durability, we think that it needs to be how it's in the norm EN 350 exterior class 1 or 2. Then that's Teak, it's 1. To give you a reference, mahogany, it's 2, or Western Red Cedar, it's 2. It's good lumbers for that. And then the availability. The market needs constancy in our delivery. Then when you join all that things, that reduces the chances a lot. Then at the end, we was in need to bid on something. And our bid initially was a lumber from North America, where American Hardwood Export Council is managing extremely well all the forest in North America. This forest was growing in the last 50 years 130%. And we have a country of origin with reliability, sustainability in the forest, constant supply, and production capacity. The sawmills in the US are quite big. Then we are not in a problem that they cannot afford whatever demand and could be in the marine market. Then the other thing is that we was starting to focus on the thermal modification, because that was giving us a lot of chances to select lumbers that was not suitable for the durability outside. And in the thermal modification, no chemicals are involved. It's only an accurate control of temperature, moisture, and pressure. And at the end, when we was putting all that in a bag, we arrived to maple. And why maple? I was personally asking to start to look for lumbers that only by themselves was good for flooring. And maple, for example, was always used in the courts of NBA basket courts, or in the bowling, or in places that are with heavy traffic and not easy places. Then the maple we was developing quite well. We was matching really the color of the teak, because always it's true that people, if we try to offer something that needs blue color, it's going to be very difficult to introduce in the market. Then we was going in something that was similar as how it was in the past, no? And we was crossing all the tests with exterior class 1, with we have a wearing resistance that it's 3 times higher than in teak, because we compress a lot the lumber, and that was something that till now we are very happy. Also, it's true that we need all to learn about a new lumber and how to work with that. If somebody wants more information, we have instructions of use on how we suggest to treat that lumber. Because this year I was all day explaining all that things, and I arrived to a point. If somebody arrives today with teak, like a new lumber that nobody knows, and you give it to a carpenter and start to process this lumber to make whatever, they will say that this lumber, they don't like it because all their tools are unsharpened immediately. Then on that time, people was in need to learn how to use the correct tools to work with teak. We will help whoever wants to try to solve all that things with our TMT maple. But here, we don't want to finish here. We start that in 2015. We are non-stopping to readjusting our timing of process, and now, for example, we was increasing quite a lot the final moisture content, giving a moisture content that it's equal as what we was detecting that arrived our lumber when it's in the decks after a year. And then about the company research and development, then that's my final point. We are constantly testing other lumbers. We was testing last year hemlock. We didn't like how it was going, but there are other ones that didn't cross any point, but we are normally always testing new lumbers. Other formulas and ways of treating thermally the lumber. And for example, last year we arrived to make 15 tenths 1.5 millimeter veneer maple thermotreated. I think that it's the only company that could make veneer as thin that it was not burned. That was not the first attempt because we burn a lot of lumber to arrive here, but we have it. Then we give another option to make exterior furniture or whatever. And now, in the last point, this one that says lumber densification. On that machine that you are seeing, we was seeing something that we are working very hard now, that we can densify lumber up to 25% of the original density of this lumber without any chemical. It's only a way to arrive when we are drying from green to final dry lumber. We could reduce a 2 inches 52 millimeter plank to 46. Then that gets an option, a new window that we can continue developing with other lumbers. Then maybe one day we can give you a second option, because this market, I think, then cannot eat only for one option.
Yeah. Thanks, Xavier. Yeah, you need a very special toaster to make that, don't you?
Yeah.
Your company has been focusing on maximizing usability of existing teak stocks, as well as pursuing alternative wood options. You also probably, more than any of us up here, are exposed to the direct expectations of the market, and you've got to try to manage those expectations. Tell us more about that superyacht market expectations and the measures that Wols has taken to meet them and shift them.
Yeah. At the end, we have the situation on the market. Everybody knows teak is not available, and everybody is asking for teak. If you are in a meeting and you're talking about a different material, it could be rocket, it could be Tizum, it could be TMT, or what else. The question is, yes, we have to talk about a teak. And no, there is no teak anymore. That is the point. And it's really, really hard. It's also at this exhibition one of my try and my goals to make there something, a mind shift at the people, that the people understand, okay, I have the situation, I cannot follow up anymore. And every solution I will try is a little bit different to what we know and what we expect from the decking. We have a really, really big problem in our industry that the material teak was too good. It was a fantastic material. It was the right stuff to follow up as a flooring. It was the right stuff to handle it. And also the situation that the market allows us to pick all the best planks out of it. So the owner's representative followed up the needs of the customers because they want to have the best. They pay a lot of money for it. It's not a cheap product. And so we don't have the situation anymore. And this is the point where the complete industry has to inform the clients that there will be a change, that every solution is, to be honest, has some difficulties at any point. If it is the grain, for example, if it is the situation that the temperature feeling when you walk through barefoot over the deck, for example, Iroko is a good product which you could use for decking as well, but the feeling when you walk barefoot is more hot when you're in the Mediterranean area. But if you take the ship more to the northern part of the globe, then it's a perfect material. And so the situation is, you have to think about what is my ship, what do I want to do with it, and then what will be the best solution for the ship. And so what is the problem we have with the other material? Has it to be taken into account, or could say, no, it doesn't matter? And this is the point where we all together have to change the business of decking in the future a little bit. And I need the help from everybody. Otherwise, we have always the same discussion, and we are sitting in the next meeting in one year, and we are talking about teak decking, but we don't have it. And so that is my wish to the community to help us.
Great. You've also, I know you've used using a cork underlayment and leveling agent. Gives you some insulative, thermal and sound insulative qualities, but also allows you to go with a thinner layer of teak on top to actually deliver a teak deck and that tactile experience, but minimize the amount of wood expended on that.
Yeah. We do that we use a cork underlayer for several reasons. One of them is to follow up the deflection of the deck, and we don't have to fare it. We make a scan and then we mill it. We can see it now just in the picture. We modify the cork that will fit there directly to the vessel. But this is one advantage. The other thing is, as you told, for example, sailing boat has a weight issue, and they want to have a massive teak, which should look like I have that 27 mil teak on top. For example, this sailing ship Gorge Fock, everybody knows at the beginning it had 85 mil of teak. Now, after the last refit, it has only 40 mil of teak, which is always a lot, and 45 mil of cork underneath. And so you have a really, really thick teak deck, and it's really, really thick teak deck. Other advantages are, for example, insulation is a really, really good thing. From shipbuilding side, if you calculate the insulation into your total insulation of the deck, you can maybe reduce the insulation inside to get more ceiling heights, and there are other possibilities to follow up with this material. And at the end, you already told, cork is the natural best material which is on the market for our industry.
Great, thanks. At this point, we're running low on time, but if there are any questions from the assembled multitude out there, I'd open it up to anyone there. Please raise your hand, and we'll measure. Yeah, please speak up, speak loudly.
You mentioned before that you favor polyurethane systems for synthetic. Why is that?
The question was, why do we favor the polyurethane synthetics? It's just a company choice. EVA foams, they're great in smaller boat applications and things like that. PVCs, there's quite a few good options, and they're getting better, that's for sure. We've just seen. I think we're looking for more of the durability and the longevity. And with the urethane, we're definitely getting. It's definitely a more durable product. It's repairable as well. And the longevity, and something that we can put our name behind and know that it's going to be good for another 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And it's been in the cruise ship, and it's been in the commercial industry for 50 years, just because of its durability. And we do like the repairability side as well.
Any other queries from the audience?
I'm going to touch base on something Jörg brought up, and I appreciate what he said. I think we're all in a position here as deck builders, Jörg and I, and with Xavier here, is we're trying to move the needle, and we're trying to educate our customers on the options out there, but also to best utilize different products in different areas, and not taking beautiful teak and throwing it into tender garage or something like that. And you guys have been doing synthetics and composites in those areas and things like that. And we're just trying to move the mark and educate the industry on the options out there. And I think that's so important. And we just got to get everyone to jump on the train and move along. So good point.
Thank you.
I guess the other thing that I wondered about was looking to, we've been pretty much focused on decking, but we also know there's a need for thicker trim, for tow rails, for cap rails, for dimensional size. Are there applications with lamination to build up those out of some of products like TMT or other things like the green teak where you're using a veneered teak product?
Yeah, we have done laminated rails for years, and go down to our friends at Green Teak down in the Super Yacht Pavilion, and you'll see a beautiful laminated rail. And of course, we're doing composite rails as well, and out of urethane, and with great success.
And customers are happy with that.
They're getting happier. It's changing.
Manage their happiness.
Yeah, it is,
Good.
and a lot of it is just how you treat it, And I think once we finally have kind of come to a solution on a good sealer for composite, where it's not changing the color, not changing the texture, and so then people are a lot more attracted to it. Yeah.
Great. Thanks. One last chance around the audience. Great. Well, thank you, gentlemen. This has been a great session, and I think anyone can follow up with questions here or at anyone's stand as we go ahead. Thank you all for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.